WDEV News presents the regular monthly meeting of the Fentress County Commission. The Fentress County Commission meets the third Monday of each month, and you can see it live on Channel 12 Cable TV. It's a presentation of the Union Bank of Jamestown and Clark Range, your reliable banking partner since 1904.
For more than a century, Union Bank has been serving the people of Fentress County. Now, as we begin a new chapter in our history of service, we want to take this opportunity to reassure you that while our building may be new, we're still the same friendly people you have known for years. Union Bank, the same people, the same goals, and the same commitment to you. Union Bank, your locally owned hometown bank for more than a century, growing to meet your needs. Equal Housing Lender Member FDIC.
We'll call the Fentress County Commission meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge to the flag by Commissioner Justin Miller. Opening prayer by Commissioner Lester Gooding.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads, please. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, thank you, Father, for the day that you've given us. Thank you for the weather that we're having. Thank you for everybody that showed up tonight, Father, and ask that you bless each and every person here tonight. I ask you, Lord, to lead, guide, and direct us in the decisions that we're going to have to make tonight for the county. We ask that you bless the county, bless this nation, and I ask it all in Jesus' precious holy name. Amen.
Amen. Roll call by County Clerk.
Jimmy Johnson.
Here.
Justin Miller.
Here.
Benny Hughes.
Here.
Ronald Williams.
Here.
Larry Cooper.
Here.
Wade Matthews.
Here.
Lester Gooding.
Here.
Jeff Green.
Here.
Jeff Reagan.
Here.
Kim Davidson. Here. All present.
We have a quorum. Item number 5 is the minutes from the August 20th meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Green to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Matthews. Any discussion? Voting for the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is consideration of setting the terms for the length of the Reagan Building Occupancy Agreement between Fentress County and the Historical Society.
Larry.
Yes.
Mr. Tom Potter and I met today. I don't
He's over
believe
here.
he's here. There
He is
is. He's
here.
in the corner and hashed out a few things. Mr. Potter, may you want to come forward and tell us a little bit about what it is we have planned as far as some legal agreements, legal terms regarding the term of the lease and any that was suggested last time, any buyback if we asked them to vacate that building during the time. Now, I will go on to say there are several items that won't need to be hashed out particularly tonight, just that you all are going to allow them to lease the building and for this long and a particular term. But the other issues of moving in and that sort of thing we're not right for that to discuss tonight. And the building committee will have to meet with the Historical Society at some point, kind of hash out some of that. So just a few terms they need to get down so they can go ahead and get their insurance and those kind of things. And an approval in general to let them lease it under these initial terms. Okay. Is that fair to say, Mr. Potter?
From what I could hear, my hearing is not what it used to be. Members of the commission, members of our community. And for the record, Ms. Martha Wiley was with us this morning at our little powwow. And we did discuss a few things about the Fentress County Historical Society gaining occupancy of the Reagan building, that is the right half of the ground floor. We discussed the term of the lease It was suggested last time we were here, the longer the better, so we're thinking 99 years. Which, in the long run of things, it's not really all that far. It'd be longer than us, though. A buyout was discussed last time, and $25,000 buyout with a 6-month notice for leaving was determined to be satisfactory by Ms. Ledbetter and ourselves, with a 90-day notice of our intent to vacate. And the vacate clause will be without penalty. The History Society at the time will leave the building with all improvements. Whether there's a buyout or the society vacates the building by their own necessity. The ADA compliance will be completed. The building will become ADA compliant. We'll need to add ramps, wheelchair ramps, handicap ramps from the front, and probably certainly the one large bathroom, and perhaps even the back door for use as a fire exit. There is a side door as well on the north side. It won't be, it's not in consideration. It can be. The History Society will be responsible for the telephone and internet service to themselves, of course. Fentress County will have the remainder of the building for that service. The History Society will provide renter's insurance and probably a supplemental general liability supplemental policy to go along with the county's program there. The History Society will make modifications during the term of the lease as needed. The security system, we have one presently at our present building, the old Hearn office. We'll have that installed as an ADA system. It's fairly state-of-art, and that will have to be transferred over, and we'll do that at our expense, of course. There are, as Ms. Ledbetter mentioned, some other portions of the lease that we really haven't firmed up yet, but these we feel are the most important. We could probably go forward with these and fill in the blanks, if you will, on the more minor points, such as perhaps color of paint or type of paint, that kind of thing. The parking was considered. There are 3 or 4 spaces there. Of course, there'll have to be some handicap parking, and there are commercial businesses on either side. The city of Jamestown deals with parking, so that's something we have to take up with them. As I mentioned last time, there's a cracked lower pane on the front door. I believe the county will have that, as well as the removal of the paint on the windows. Rather minor. Any other requirements or changes, modifications, improvements we can take up with the council's discretion, their time and their place. We'll be glad to meet anytime that we're called. We'll be glad to do what we need to do. This is a great step forward, we feel, for Fentress County, and I believe once we're up and running, that the county and the commission, everyone else will see the benefit of this move. It's going to be a good thing, I believe, for all of us. All right, does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
You early you said it would be brought up to ADA compliant.
Yes, sir.
But I missed who would bear that expense.
Well, at this point,
Ms. Ledbetter has a report.
this time, Kim and I had talked earlier, the ADA stuff is very new. The building committee just got that. There are several things because the report came in as a finance department. So it's going to probably need for him to relook at that a little bit where it becomes, I'll say, a museum and a different type of use. So we're not 100% sure what's going to have to be done over there and how much it'll cost. I think that's a bridge that we'll all have to jump when we get there to make sure that it's something that the ADA will let us do. And Kevin said there's, mostly it's the bathroom, I think is the issue. The bathroom is on the archive side, which is on, we'll say is the side that we're moving these particular buildings into, but it would be for the use of the entire building.
Well, the first floor.
Yeah, first floor, and then it wouldn't necessarily require that second bathroom to be done. So we're not really looking at ADA tonight. That's just something that's going to come up in the future, I think, because we know we're going to have it looked at again. Is that right, Kim?
Right, exactly, because it was addressed as...
It's addressed as the Finance Administration, which is a public building, but not all parts of it were open necessarily to the public, and there'll be some changes, I think, when the structure changes the use.
I found that ADA report on my email late this afternoon and was trying to print it out. Hung my printer up something bad, so there's some ADA compliance on that. But I haven't read the ADA reports myself. So
that's just a consideration that we'll have in the future as to what actually has to be done over there, because some things may have to be done in one direction, but if it's used for something else, it's totally, completely different. But we do need to get the terms of the lease down, any buyout, the vacate clauses, and I hope that you all have discussed perhaps that if there are any modifications to the building, if they need to do them to accommodate a museum, then I think the county needs to be agreeable to allow that to happen pretty quickly, even before we go to do anything to get it up to ADA compliance. They need to move some things around in there just to get some of their artifacts in. Is that a fair
That is
statement?
correct, yes.
And the electric and water, that is something I think the entire building is on one
So both are on 1 meter.
1 meter. So that's something we also need to address, just because they're going to be moving their phone and internet over. They're going to need something in writing saying they can do that, and we'll let them at the time that the finance office leaves over there. So those other things we can sure come up with later on, because we don't know what they are at this point. But basic modifications, I do think that's important. And electric utilities, terms of the lease, and insurance.
I agree with Ms. Ledbetter. We have a foundation down. We know what these blocks are, and we can build on that later on by agreement, by bringing it forward.
Does anybody have any more questions for Mr. Potter or Leslie?
Once they have the go-ahead with this, most of the finer stuff can be done within the building committee.
Within the building, that's correct. The building committee will meet with them. What we're really just trying to hash out right now is just getting them in there at some point as soon as finance is out, because they'll have to have some sort of legal document in order to do some of the transfers and to get fully set up over there.
Any other question? Or does the commission wish to take any action?
I'll make an action.
Motion to allow the 99-year lease with the $25,000 buyout, 90 days notice vacate.
I'll second. Hope I live to see it.
Motion by Commissioner Jimmy Johnson, seconded by Commissioner, who's you, Benny,
Among others.
Leslie.
I think we need to add into that, allowing them to make the modifications they need, the phone and internet versus electric and water, and the insurance. And with
So-
modifications, I also would say adding that security system in, reserving the ADA information until such time that we know what it is, because we just don't know now.
Didn't you get that, Marilyn? Marilyn's got that. Any other questions? You ready, Marilyn? Roll call.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
JP,
4.
Kim,
4.
Jimmy,
4.
Justin,
4.
Lester,
4.
Jim,
Lord.
Benny,
4.
Donald,
4.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
Tim, 4.
Motion carries. I apologize, I forgot to mention this earlier, that Executive Cross couldn't be here tonight. He is feeling not feeling very well, so he had to go home early today, so that's why I'm here, not him. So Item number 7 is consideration of approval of declaring the following property surplus for the Fentress County Sheriff's Department. And I believe these items will actually go into the drug fund. Is this some of that military equipment? Is anybody here from the sheriff?
It is. He has been in school today, and he is on his way back at this time, but it is going into the drug fund. All the proceeds are. So I make a motion, we just give him permission to sell it.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Gooding.
Yes.
Mr. Green? Sorry, Mr. Green. Any further discussion? And these will be auctioned on Gov Deals. I guess I might want to mention that if the public wants to know. It'll be on Gov Deals. Roll call, please.
Jamie.
4.
Justin.
4.
Jack Hill.
4.
Kim.
4.
Benny.
4.
Donald.
4.
Buster.
4.
Jim.
4.
Larry.
4.
Wayne.
4.
Kim. 4.
Motion carries. Item number 8 is consideration of surplus property of a gooseneck trailer, triaxle gooseneck trailer. I think the same terms, it was a military.
Actually, it's unclaimed property.
This is unclaimed property.
It was actually, someone had a crash and drove off. Apparently the trailer was thrown off in somebody's yard, and they requested the sheriff's department remove it. They put a notice out to anyone who might own this. They did all the searches, and no one's ever come forward. It's been almost 2 years that they've had this trailer. And it's not, the VIN number doesn't report stolen because it doesn't report at all. So no one's claimed it, but the insurance company for the homeowner did not want to make a claim on it. So actually, they had it sitting over there in storage, and they incurred what we call storage fees. They like money back in there.
Motion's on my second.
Motion by Benny Hughes to sell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Justin Miller. And that, the proceeds of this would go in the general fund as well, too, on Gov Deals. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Jimmy.
4.
Justin.
4.
JT.
4.
Kim.
4.
Benny.
4.
Donald.
4.
Larry.
4.
Wayne.
4.
Buster.
4.
Jim.
4.
Kim. 4.
Motion carries. Item number 9 is consideration and permission to sell some scrap metal that's gathered behind the sheriff's department up there. This is what it looks like. They're requesting that they get allow us to sell that as well, and the proceeds will go into the general fund.
Make a motion for him to sell it.
Commissioner
I'll second.
Miller, is that right? Made the motion? Seconded by Don. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jimmy.
4.
Justin.
4.
JT.
4.
Kim.
4.
Benny.
4.
Donald.
4.
Buster.
4.
Jim.
4.
Larry.
4.
Wayne.
4.
Kim. 4.
Motion carries. Item number 10, consideration of approval of an hourly pay scale to reflect pay for hourly county employees. Ms. Kim, was that you?
Yes. Over the last few months, we've had quite a bit of discussion about the pay scale, pay rates, and everything for county employees, and we kind of went back and forth about resolving it, and at one point in time we did. Since then, we've already had several cases that have come up where employees have needed to be hired, and it's we don't have a reference guide, or didn't, once we dissolved the pay scale. So in dealing with those situations, the pay scale committee met today, and it just seemed in the best interest of the county and everyone involved that if we reinstate the pay scale. The big problem with the old one was it started out with each employee's salary listed per hour, then it jumped to a salary, an annual salary. So that led to a lot of confusion. So what we would ask, the pay scale committee actually asked, is that we reinstate a reference pay scale for new hires only, and that it would be based on the hourly rate. So you would start at this base salary, and then each year we would reinstate the step raise as we have always done in the past. Again, if a director is wishing to hire someone that brings 10 years experience to the table, what we're going to ask, we're going to have a form in place that director would justify why you're giving them 10 years of experience, or, why they should start at 10 years. That form then would need to be signed off with the Director of Finance and the County Executive. That way we have some checks and balances in place, because in the past there's been some abuse, and that's what we were trying to keep from happening. We want this is a reference guide that we need, but again, we don't want it to be used improperly. So the pay scale committee decided that if we presented, each director, you brought that in, that justification, and you got those 2 signatures on it, that should keep it in check, that we're not going to have misuse of that. So at the request of the pay scale committee, we asked that y'all would consider putting back in place the original pay scale, and I think everyone has that, and that's with no changes. That doesn't, this year we gave the county employees, each employee got a quarter raise. This pay scale does not reflect that. We're not adjusting it by a quarter. It's kind of like, if you were in line this year to get your quarter, you got your quarter, and if not, just sorry, you weren't in line. So that's kind of, the simplicity of that just seemed to work better. So again, it's the pay scale that we had in effect on July 1, 2016, going back to that base rate, and then a step raise each year. So that's what we are asking that you would consider possibly putting back in place.
Do we have any action on this? Yes.
So this initial, is my understanding that you go back to 2016 is when that pay scale was adopted?
It's been adopted this is just the last time it was modified in 2016. The actual pay scale, this one has been in place for years. Do you remember when y'all actually?
2004, 2005.
So the beginning salary was updated to reflect 2016?
16 would have been the last time there's been any kind of modifications to it. So, like I said, this year that quarter that was given is not included, and we don't wish to include it. We just want to, again, go back to this, and this is for new hires, and again, it's a reference guide. So if somebody comes into your office, they bring 10 years of experience, you can look at this chart and say, well, 10-year experience, billing clerk should get $10.68. So again, it will keep us consistent, seems to be, and then if we put the signatures in place, that should keep some checks and balances to keep people from misusing or abusing this pay scale.
On the recommendation of the pay scale committee, I make a motion that we accept it.
Motion by Mr. Gooding. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Miller. Any further discussion?
Again, I just want it to be noted, this is with no raises. We're not adjusting any salaries in any way whatsoever. This was just going back to that original 2016, and it's just a reference pay scale for new hires.
Okay, let me ask, let's hypothetically, let's say I have been a bus driver for 10 years, and I've done a really good job as a bus driver. And then another opportunity comes along for me to quit driving a bus and become a something else. That pays more than a bus driver. Okay, do I get 10 years bus driving experience to move me over on this pay scale? That's the problems we've been having.
And that, again, that justification that's going to have to be presented, there's a difference between longevity and experience. 10 years time with the county is one thing, but if you've not had 10 years experience as a deputy clerk, that you shouldn't get 10 years pay. So that, again, when you present that as a director or an elected official, you're going to have to justify why you're giving them 10 years of pay. And I would hate to know that we had a county executive or a finance director that would accept just that. They've worked for 10 years.
Okay, and then let's suppose we have a vacancy, and we could fill that vacancy for $20,000 a year, and somebody do a fine job. but somebody has previously worked for the county for 10 years. And that, and perhaps because they'd worked for the county, they get $26,000 a year if they look at 10 years experience. Now, is it in the county's best interest to pay somebody $26,000 because we've got this thing in place, or to hire somebody for $20,000 and get the job done?
And I think that's going to be an issue whether we have this pay scale in place or not. Anytime, any office holder or director, when somebody comes into their office and asks for a job, they have discrepancy as to what to ask their pay to be. And so I think regardless of having this pay scale, that's something that'll just have to be addressed each time. So if you have an employee that brings experience to the table, you have to consider, most people will consider that in developing or determining their pay. So, I see what you're saying. If you can hire somebody fresh off the street that can learn the job in a short amount of time, why not pay them the base salary instead? And so, again, that's definitely something we have to think about. But I don't think the pay scale is as relevant to that as just good judgment as far as an elected official and a director would need. And then again, that's something they have to budget. They only have a certain amount of money. If you only have a certain amount of money to pay your employees, you can't divvy out more than what you got. So again, we've got some checks and balances in place already, and that has to come through the budget committee. So again, if you're using up all your money for one employee, how are you going to pay the other three? So again, I completely understand what you're saying, but I don't think the reinstatement of this pay scale is going to change that. I think that's just discretion and good judgment, and that's sometimes hard to teach.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Jimmy,
I'll be for it.
Justin,
For it.
JP,
4.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
4.
Don,
I guess.
Lester,
4.
Jeff,
Against.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
8-4-2 again.
Motion carries. Item number 11, consideration of resolution fixing the tax levy to Fentress County fiscal year beginning July 1, 2018. Anybody?
I didn't.
I'm just,
I'm just waiting on you.
I move that we set it at 1.915.
motion by Commissioner Hughes to set the tax levy at 1.915. Do I have a second?
What is the exact tax rate? It's 1.9834.
3-4.
Is what we're at right now. So, Benny makes a motion to make it at 1.915.
Yes.
I second that motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Davidson. And I think this actually has to be on the record. In that 1.915, this is the way it's divided up. The county general fund gets 1.5450. Solid waste gets 0.12. General purpose school gets 0.22. I would might add there that we worked with the Board of Education and the Director of Schools. Since the property values have risen and the property tax penny is worth more money, they could basically get the same amount of money or a little bit more than what they've been accustomed to. They've agreed to take 1.5 pennies less this year. So we didn't ask for that 1.5 to be put in our general fund. We said, we'll just lower the tax rate by 1.5 more. So that's where that came into play. And general debt service gets 3 cents, which would total 1.9150. Do I have any questions from the commission?
This is coming from 1.9834, correct?
Correct. Any questions? Roll call vote.
Jimmy,
For?
Justin,
Against.
JP,
Against.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
For?
Donald,
Against.
Lester,
For?
Jeff,
Against.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
Against.
5 and 5.
Got to vote again.
I actually think I can vote again. To break the tie.
No,
No?
I think so.
Does anybody wish to change their vote?
Got to call it roll again.
That motion
Yeah, right.
fails. Well, if no, I can ask and request if no one wants to change their vote, then that motion fails.
You got to call, you're supposed to keep on voting until it breaks. There's nobody here to break the tie.
What would the purpose of that be?
I don't know, just what it says. Because you can't,
Well, the motion
your chair-
fails because it didn't get the 6 necessary votes to pass.
It's not tied. It failed.
It's failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If in a tie you would, but, and if it failed, it failed.
they're asked, because a chairman can either, he can veto or he can break a tie. You're the chairman pro tem tonight, so you have the legality to vote.
Well, I did vote though, but it tied.
You have to keep going
We
around.
can't vote twice.
You know,
No, you can't. You have to vote until the tie is broke.
does anybody wish to change their vote? That motion fails. Do I entertain another motion? Those that voted against it, what is your wishes? I mean, if you're not looking at the 1.9150, what are you looking at?
I moved to set it at 1.91.
Pardon?
I moved to set it at 1.91.
Motion by Commissioner Matthews to set it at 1.91, which the .50 coming from where? General fund?
At 19150, if things goes as planned in the budget, you'll be 30,000, possibly 25 to $30,000 to the good at the end of the year at 1915. At 191, you'll be possibly $14,000 to $15,000 in the black. And this weekend, we just had a $3,500, $4,000 motor to go out at the jail. So
Do I have a second on Commissioner Matthews' motion? One more time, do we have a motion or a second for Commissioner Matthews' motion? Motion dies for lack of second. We have to pass a budget tonight because it's got to go to the state. So we need to, somebody needs to. Once again, I'll ask the other four that passed it, against it, or voted against it, what's your wishes?
I make a motion, we take a 10-minute recess. If we can.
For what reason?
To find out probably for sure how we need to, if we roll call vote, or if we can, what we need to do.
I think if we need to call someone, we need to do it while we're in, I mean, we don't need to.
Let's see, I make most go 185, see what happens.
Motion by Commissioner Williams to go 1.85. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, see what happens.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? And I definitely have some discussion.
Well, I do too.
Do you know, Don, do you realize what 185 will do? Have you figured the budget to figure out what it will do?
I want
Well,
to know what
nobody said
schools,
anything, I said 185 then.
which schools we want to take the resource officers out of. Does anybody want to volunteer up a school that we don't want to provide security for? We know our budget has went up from last year because we appointed school resource officers at every school to protect the children, and I think most people in this county would support that. So I, in no way whatsoever, can see justifying $1.85 that does not allow any room to cover that. That's just my opinion.
Any other discussion?
You have to keep voting. Somebody has to change their mind. We have to keep on voting until it's changed. Either by roll call or some way we have to keep on voting until somebody changes their mind.
Well, there's no way, there's another motion now, so we're past that. Any other discussion? Roll call, please. 185.
Jimmy,
Against?
Justin,
For it.
JP,
For it.
Kim,
Against.
Benny,
Against.
Donald,
For it.
Lester,
Against.
Jeff,
Against.
Larry,
Against.
Wade,
Against.
3, 4, 7 against.
Motion fails.
Justin, have you studied the budget to see what it will do?
Yeah, I've been,
Or what it won't do at 185?
of course, what bothers me about the whole thing is I've been getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of questions, and a lot of people are thinking that we're raising their taxes, even from the $1.98 down to where we're going, since the state certified rate's $1.85. So, these are the questions I've been getting, and
What answer did you give them? At 185 versus 193?
well, I
Or
thought of it
198?
two different ways, but I've also, in my opinion, of course, that may not matter much, but I've thought about it two different ways. Some people's taxes are going to go up, some is going to go down, or some's going to stay the same. But if one person's taxes go up, that's kind of an increase. Am I
Well, we
not
can't
correct?
control that, because that's the way that the state said it to do. I mean, that's how it is. A lot, 57% is going to go up some from $2 to whatever.
But the state,
22% is not going to go nowhere, and the rest of them is going to be just the same as they were.
when the state sent us this 185, they didn't take into account that we were going to need additional revenue to support and fund the extra resource officers in the county, which is over $300,000. So,
Well, not only that, last year we budgeted $250 for medical at the jail.
Why you make most to go something, mister?
Was it $250?
I understand we need a cushion.
We had to come up with $75,000 more, which if you go with the flat rate, you've not got, unless you want to go into your fund balance.
I'm kind of with Justin. I've had a lot of calls about so, I mean, if you'll explain it, where the $1.85 come in at, that's, the state set it at $1.85.
$1.85 brings in the exact revenue that was brought in last year.
That's with no extra services, no extra breakdowns you have to break, or you have to pay for or anything. That's what that is supposed to take care of, and possibly can take care of. But they don't say it will take care of all your needs. Out there's just like the budget. We're fixing a budget that we think that will take care of everything. Will it change throughout the year? Yes, it's going to. It's just a proposal. That's just like the tax, your certified tax. It's just a proposal that we think you can do it. If the roof blows off the courthouse, that's not in there,
Yeah, I understand that.
And I'm gonna have to stay.
It's just not only resource officers. It's just not only that, it's several different, it's just different things.
But that's a given. The resource officer is a given. We know what that's
going to
cost.
We know that. We said we would do that, and that's about $260,000 or $75,000 that wasn't in the budget last year. You know, it wasn't even in there, so.
And I want to just state a few things. I've actually had people call to I apparently talked to some different people than they have, because I've had people say that they understand the reason for the tax rate and why we would adopt something higher. I don't know that I've had anybody tell me we ought to put it in 185. I guess I've been fortunate, but I actually took it upon myself to call some real estate agents and people in the county and say it. You know, we know our tax rate is a big draw. That's why I've heard so many people say, this is why I moved to Fentress County, because your low tax rate. We know that. People come in here. But I said, are we hurting ourselves by, you know, fixing this or adjusting this tax rate? And every response I had was no. That, you know, they look at that tax rate to kind of decide if they're coming into your area, but a tax rate of $1.91, $1.93, they're still going to come to Fentress County. The other things they're going to consider is the services you offer. Are you able to provide good schools and safe schools? Are you good? Do you have a good ambulance service? Do you have a good sheriff's department? So, y'all, I know we want our taxes as low as possible, but we still have to provide services for the people that live here. We want to live in a good county. We want to continue to progress and be better. So again, yes, we can take it to $1.85 and hopefully cross our fingers that we can survive. But then that's when we wait 4 years down the road and you get a 40% tax rate. You know, that's what happened in the previous commission. They had been so stagnant and not been realistic in what they'd done with taxes. Then you saddle somebody with a 40% tax rate that people can't budget and they can't adjust for. You know, if we look at this and we're realistic, we can put something in there that's not going to overwhelm somebody, that's not going to take food off the table, because we know we have a lot of elderly people in this county, and definitely that's something we have to consider and we have to think about with fixed income. So we're trying to find somewhere in the middle, you know, taking it back down from that 198, you know, if we can lower it to 191, still to be able to cover what we have, and then not put a burden on people. I mean, there's no exact formula to it. I mean, it's not an exact science. We're just trying to do the best we can.
Commissioner Williams.
Mr. Chairman, I've got an idea how we could break this thing, fix it. We got $322,000 sitting there from the sale of the Tauber property. Let's apply that to the resource officer, give the taxpayers a break for another year, and see what happens next year. See how much the governor's going to pitch in.
Don, that money is in our fund balance, and that's not in a separate account.
That's motion.
That is a form of a motion? Is that what you said?
Can we do it legal?
We've done voted on $1.85. We can't vote on it. It failed. We can't vote on it again, can we?
Right.
No, that's to put the Tauber property, the $322,000 we got from the Tauber property, apply that toward the resource officers if we need it.
But that's already in our general fund, and we just voted on $1.85, and it failed.
That's correct.
You know,
Well, then do what you want.
Can I represent
Another
that
motion?
motion that failed for lack of second?
Yes.
I will present the $1.91.
Motion by Commissioner Davidson for $1.91. Do I have a second?
second.
Seconded by Commissioner Benny Hughes.
I think Wayne did.
Wade, you got it? Okay. You get Wade on that one. You need some more paper to write on that. You need some more paper to write on that. 1.91. You got it? Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please. Mr. Matthews.
Jimmy,
For,
Justin,
Against.
JP,
Against.
Kim,
Forward.
Benny,
4.
Donald,
Against.
Lester,
4.
Jeff,
against.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
5 and 4, 6 and 4.
Motion carries, and with that new tax levy, it actually changes the general fund. Will go to 1.54 instead of 1.545. That's the only thing it changes on that. All right. Now what we're going to do is pass the 6-4 against. First budget we're gonna pass is county general fund, which you can, have y'all done the math, what that's lowering them from 30,000, what's that gonna go change that to? Change those, we'll have to change those bottom lines tonight. Nope.
If you agree to it, you got it.
$15,110 is the change from where it said 31,705 on the very last page, page 37.
And that's if all the money comes in, there's no breakdown.
That's correct.
15 what?
15,110. Does that make the ending fund balance 2514344? Yes, is that correct? Anybody got any questions? Entertain a motion to pass the general fund budget.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hughes. Any further discussion? I'll call the roll. Jimmy Johnson,
For.
Justin Miller,
For.
J.P. Reagan,
For.
Kim Davidson,
Four.
Benny Hughes,
For.
Donald Williams,
Yes.
Lester Gooding,
For.
Jeff Green.
Against.
I'm for it. Wade Matthews.
4.
Motion carries 8-2. Second one we have in my list is solid waste.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kim Davidson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Lester Gooding. Any discussion? Jimmy Johnson,
For.
Justin Miller,
For.
J.P. Reagan,
For.
Kim Davidson,
Four.
Benny Hughes,
For.
excuse me, Donald Williams,
For.
Lester Gooding,
For.
Jeff Green.
Against.
I'm for it. Wade Matthews.
4.
Motion carries 9-1. Next one I have is the drug fund.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Hughes to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Gooding. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jimmy,
Four.
Justin,
Four.
JP,
Four.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
Four.
Donald,
For,
Lester,
Four.
Jeff,
For it.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
10 for, 9 against.
Motion carries. The next one I have is Highway Public Works Fund.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Davidson to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gooding. Any discussion?
This one has a 3% raise for the highway department, right? I'm thinking. I think it's what she said, what they said.
That's correct. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Jimmy,
Four.
Justin,
Four.
JP,
Four.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
Four.
Donald,
for,
Lester,
Four.
Jeff,
For it.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
10 for, 9 against.
Motion carries. The next one I have is General Purpose School Fund.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Gooding to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jimmy,
Four.
Justin,
Four.
JP,
Four.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
4.
Donald,
for,
Lester,
Four.
Jeff,
For it.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
10 for, 9 against.
Motion carries. The next one I have is the Central Cafeteria Fund.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Davidson to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hughes. Any discussion? Roll call.
Jimmy,
Four.
Justin,
Four.
JP,
Four.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
Four.
Donald,
for,
4.
Lester,
Four.
Jeff,
For it.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
10 for, 9 against.
Motion carries. The next one I have is the General Debt Service Fund.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Gooding to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Matthews, any discussion? Roll call.
Jimmy,
Four.
Justin,
Four.
JP,
Four.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
Four.
Donald,
yes,
Lester,
Four.
Jeff,
For it.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
10 for, 9 against.
No, I think, Don, did you vote against?
Yeah, we did.
James Don, so again. 9-1. Motion carries. The next thing we have is a resolution to appropriate the various departments' funding. That will change a little bit. Has this got the revenue on it, or just the expenditures only? Okay, well, it won't change none then.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hughes to approve the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gooding. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jimmy,
Four.
Justin,
Which,
That's taking all the budgets and putting it in resolution form to send to the state.
four.
JP,
Four.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
Four.
Donald,
for,
Yes.
Lester,
Four.
Jeff,
Against.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
9 for, 1 against.
Motion carries. And I'll be real brief and try to explain this next resolution so we don't get, when the Justice Center was built, Fentress County government did not borrow the money. The ID board borrowed the money. Fentress County agreed to pay the ID board back, okay? So since that money is not our debt, we can't pay for it out of debt services where all our debt's paid for. So what we do, as many people know, that our bulk of our revenue is property tax. It doesn't come in until 2019 in February. We have a $451,000 payment due in November of 2018. So what we do, and we send, and that's why we're passing this resolution when we pass our budget, we send this request to the state, which will allow us to transfer money from debt service into county general to make this payment. And then when our tax base comes in, we just transfer the money back. So we're not going out, to contrary to popular belief, we're not going out and borrowing the money to pay this payment. We're just taking the money from a fund, putting it in a fund, and then just transferring it back. It's all county taxpayers' dollars. We're not borrowing the money from any bank or lending institution. We're just taking it from one of our fund balances, putting it in another. And by law, we have to move it back before the end of the fiscal year in 2019. So that's what this resolution is that we're sending to the state, to allow us to transfer that money one more time, to make that payment in November and then transfer it back. Mr.
Make a
Williams.
motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman?
Hang on just a minute, Don. Lester, did you make a motion to approve?
I did.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Johnson.
Which
Donald,
one, is this the payment for 18 or 19?
this will be the payment in November of 2018.
So we're borrowing money from, anticipating from next year's taxes, right?
No.
That is not correct. We're borrowing from debt service this fiscal year.
Right, but to be paid back from next year's taxes.
No, it'll be paid back in this year's
Okay.
taxes. We're not borrowing any money from anyone.
Right.
We're just taking it from general fund.
Right.
Or debt service, putting it in general fund and just putting it back. You know, it's not going to incur on the next year's fiscal budget. It's all done within this year. Mr. Green?
One way to think about it, you know, the tax bills come out October 15th. If everyone would run out there and pay their taxes on October 16th, the money'd be sitting there to pay it. So that's not going to happen. So we got to have the money sitting, you know, and this is just moving it out of one box, putting it in another box, and then replacing the first box.
Correct.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak.
No, it's taking money out of your savings
Yeah.
to put in. You're not robbing nobody.
But
You know what I'm saying?
it's 2018 money to pay 2018 expenses.
Correct. Any
Take
other
it out of
discussion?
Peter's right pocket and put it in Peter's left pocket. It's the same batch of money, I promise.
I think, Larry, we all need to be clear that your tax bill you get October 15th of 2018 is for your 2018 property taxes. They're due beginning October 15th, and you have until the last day of February of 2019 to pay them without penalty.
Correct.
Now, there's still 2018 property taxes. We just by state law give you 2 extra months into the year 2019 to come up with your tax money. We wish you would pay them, as Jeff said, October 15, however, of 18 rather, but we all know that doesn't happen, and lots of people don't pay them February the 28th or 29th of the following year, and then they come into delinquency. So it's all 2018 money.
Yeah, that's correct. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Jimmy,
Four.
Justin,
For it?
JP,
4.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
4.
Donald,
Yes.
Again.
Lester,
4.
Jeff,
For it.
Larry,
4.
Wade,
4.
9-4-1 again.
Motion carries. Next, I have a senior center budget amendment. Tyler, is this just money that collected? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Davidson. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Miller. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Jimmy,
Four.
Justin,
Four.
JP,
Four.
Kim,
4.
Benny,
Four.
Donald,
Four.
Lester,
Four.
Jeff,
For it.
Larry,
4.
Wayne,
Wade?
4.
Jim's going
Motion carries. I would like to add, or we're actually fixing to go into a litigation session for maybe 10 minutes. That is something that we cannot do publicly. So what we're going to do is allow everyone to stay where you're at. We're going to get up, go in a back room. The county attorney is going to brief us or give us an update on current litigation on one case. And
Two cases.
it's two cases, but
And this is a letter I have to read you, it's a confidential letter. It will become public record at some point, but it is from the attorney that our insurance company has appointed for us. I want to read that to you. And any discussion or any vote on this would, of course, be then come back and take it on public record on the act.
with that said, we're going to adjourn to the back meeting room for just a minute, and then we'll be right back. All right, we'll turn it over to County Attorney Ledbetter.
Thank you, Chairman Cooper. Basically, we have had a letter from our appointed counsel, a local government pool. Our insurer has appointed us an attorney, Mr. Tom LaQuire. I think he's come up and introduced himself to you all earlier in the year. We had a very short one of these, I think maybe in February or March, but at any rate, Mr. LaQuire has sent us a letter, and he is asking for permission to negotiate a potential settlement in the 3 Jane Doe litigation cases. And those all stem from the former Sheriff Charles S. Cravens, and these are only on behalf of the county. They have no bearing on the particular litigation against Charles S. Cravens directly. But in doing so, he is just asking that he be appointed or given permission. He's already appointed counsel, but be given permission to enter into initial negotiations, not asking for a dollar figure, but I do think that you all have to take a vote if you all wish to enter into some sort of settlement negotiation process with the attorneys for the 3 Jane Doe plaintiffs. And at that point, any dollar figure that he receives from them as a part of the negotiation process would then have to come before you all for an actual vote of payment. He just needs permission to enter into potential settlement negotiations and to go forward in that route, given where we are in the litigation process.
Does anyone like to take any action?
I move to give Mr. McGuire permission to negotiate on the county's behalf.
Do I have Commissioner Green, do I have a second?
I'll second.
And let's be clear that this is not to provide a dollar figure here today. It is only to start that process, and then any dollar figures that are negotiated between the different parties would be brought back to this commission for their approval. Nothing gets paid out based on your motion. It's just allowing him, giving him the authority to enter into these negotiations on behalf of the county and then bring back the potentials to you all.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Jimmy,
Four.
Justin,
Four.
JP,
Four.
Kim, 4, Benny,
Four.
Donald,
Four.
Lester,
Four.
Jeff,
For it.
Larry,
4.
Wayne,
4.
10, 4, 9, 10.
Motion carries. Anything else to come before the commission tonight? Not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to approve.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, we stand adjourned.
For more than a century, Union Bank has been serving the people of Fentress County. Now, as we begin a new chapter in our history of service, we want to take this opportunity to reassure you that while our building may be new, we're still the same friendly people you have known for years. Union Bank, the same people, the same goals, and the same commitment to you. Union Bank, Your locally owned hometown bank for more than a century, growing to meet your needs. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.